Hello, hello. Back again to share what I'm reading. The Warmth of Other Suns. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. And I just want to get right into the reading. Let's go. I don't want to waste your time. Let's get right to it. On the Illinois Central Railroad, October 1937, Ida Mae Brandon Gladney. Ida Mae sat up and watched Mississippi blurt past her through the film of soot on the train window. By some miracle, she and her husband had managed to keep their secret from most of the plantation throughout the picking season and left whole branches of the family and people they had known since childhood in the dark as to what they were up to. They couldn't chance it and had no choice. You didn't go around telling neighbors and everybody else in the farm. A lot of them didn't know we was gone, she said, till we was gone. The two of them, along with little James and Velma, boarded a screeching metal horse on wheels, heading north and slightly west on the Mobile and Ohio Railroad, a feeder line to the main rail. They rode in the darkness on an old train called the Rebel, a mule-headed relic of the Confederate South, rattling towards something they had never seen and did not know. Over the course of the next 24 hours, they would have to collect their belongings and change trains in Jackson, Tennessee, to board the Illinois Central Railroad, the legendary rail system that, for a great portion of the 20th century, carried upward of 1 million colored people from the deep South up the country's central artery across the Mason-Dixon line and into a new world called the Midwest. It carried so many Southern blacks north that Chicago would go from 1.8% black at the start of the 20th century to 1/3 black by the time the flow of people finally began to slow in 1970. Detroit's black population would skyrocket from 1.4% to 44% during the era of the migration. It would not have occurred to them that they were writing history. They were leaving as a family, not as a movement, on the one thing going north. But as it happened, the Illinois Central, along with the Atlantic Coastline and Seaboard Airline railroads running between Florida and New York and the Union Pacific connecting Texas and California, had become the historic means of escape, the Overground Railroad for slavery's grandchildren. It hurtled its passengers along the same route and under the same night sky as the Underground Railroad, the secret network of safe houses leading north that had spirited slaves to freedom the previous century. Even before the first anxious sharecroppers boarded the Illinois Central, sometime in the early stages of World War I, the railroad had a pedigree that made it inadvertently synonymous with freedom to black Southerners who could manage to secure a ticket. The Illinois Central Railroad was founded in 1850 as a connector between Chicago and Cairo, a river town at the southern tip of the state, adding steamboats down the Mississippi and ultimately rail lines to New Orleans and the Gulf of Mexico. For a time, Mark Twain piloted the railroad steamboats up and down the Mississippi, and Abraham Lincoln was a rising attorney on retainer to the railroad before his election to the White House. The Civil War brought an end to regular passenger use, and the railroad was pressed into the service of the Union Army, funneling troops and supplies from the north to the south for the war effort. At war's end, the railroad laid or acquired tracks into the more isolated precincts of Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Louisiana, and unwittingly made the North a more accessible prospect for black Southerners desperate to escape. Each train route of the Illinois Central had a name of its own. The trains were called the Planter, the Creole, the Diamond, the Panama Limited, and most famous of all, the one that Ida May rode, the Louisiane, later renamed the city of New Orleans, which went straight up the country's spine from the Mississippi Delta to the flat wheat prairie land and Chicago itself. That was a lot to digest, but yes, it's pretty much showing and following this sister Ida May, Brandon Gladney, as she travels to freedom. This book is just, it would give one a perspective on, the Black American or the American Black, and just how we got here. Like, most people do not realize how Black Americans ended up, in Detroit and in, New York and in Los Angeles. Like, we didn't just pop up here. Like, people actually migrated and traveled, and they got to freedom. And unfortunately, they wasn't able to share and tell their family and friends about it. They had to keep it a secret for it to go through. And that was just the way it was. Today you got people quick to tell you their plans, but back then they had to keep stuff close to the vest and, keep stuff under wraps until it was time to actually make it happen. So, great book. I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm on page 191, so I'm trying to get through it. It's pretty dense, pretty long, but it's really, really informative. And I'm just gonna keep reading it, keep sharing. I'm gonna share again tomorrow, and just stay tuned to that. And as far as what I'm watching this movie called Balitek. It's pretty sad, man. This movie is pretty sad. It's about this random guy who wakes up and he plans to go to this university, and he plans to kill only women. Now, why is that? Why would this guy just wake up and, want to do that? Well, this guy is an anti-feminist. He hates women. He hates women who have a career, who's trying to become something. These women here are a bunch of engineers, and he's about to do the unthinkable to them. But this movie is pretty sad. It's made by the filmmaker Denis Villeneuve, the director who did Dune and Prisoners. He's a great director. He also did the latest Blade Runner. But this is pretty interesting. He was quoted saying that he took a sabbatical, a 9-year sabbatical, to get inspired to make something meaningful to him. And this was the film that he thought was the most meaningful. This story of this guy who goes to this school and he shoots up a bunch of women. It's pretty sad stuff. But yes, this movie is pretty intense. My only gripe with this movie, coming from the view of, if this were like my sister or my niece or cousin, coming from the view of the victim. This movie doesn't work for me because I don't like that it's showing too much of the point of view of the shooter. Like, I don't care about this guy. They're showing him, write letters to his mom, and they're showing him nervous in the car before he goes and shoots the place up. Like, I don't care about that. Like, don't show this guy. The film should have just followed the victims only and show their encounter with the guy. But we should never even have an ounce of sympathy or anything for this shooter. And I think that's the problem with so many Hollywood movies, man. They want the audience to feel something for the murderer, which is nuts to me. I'm always on the side of the victim, of the victimized, of the oppressed. So, but this movie is pretty interesting. Check it out. It's called Palitek, and that's what I'm watching right now. You guys take care. I will post again tomorrow, and I'm gonna try to post every day for the whole Vlogmas thing, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you guys take care, and I will keep on sharing. Take care, and talk to you soon.